Well, welcome to Our Time.
Nice to be here once again, as it
Absolutely.
always is nice to be here once again. I don't know where else I'd be. Where else would you be?
Probably cooking dinner or lunch or something.
Why didn't you bring something in? It's good if you're watching this program on Saturday night at 11 o'clock. She's doing lunch. Listen, it's great to have your company again today because we're talking once again to our friend Kimberly. Sue is here to talk to Kimberly.
She's, yes, always a delight to have on the program. She's just so full of knowledge about
always
nutrition.
full of it. That's what I always say, always full of it. But we also have 4 young guys who are called the 60s 4. They're a vocal group, just starting out on their career, and we've met a couple of them on our program before. But I'm excited. Are you excited?
Always excited.
Do you like gardening?
I do like gardening.
Do you?
I'm not very good at it, but I do like to be in the garden.
Do you watch Gardening Australia on the ABC?
Sometimes.
I watch it every week. And we've just absconded with Sophie Thompson.
Welcome to the program, Sophie.
Thank you. Hello, Malcolm. Hello, Janet. It's great to be here.
And great to have you with us. It's the second time.
It is the second time.
But it's certainly not the second time you've been on telly.
No.
How long has it been you've been doing TV talking about gardening?
Oh, probably nearly 20 years. First with Channel 7 and then with the ABC.
Here in South Australia with Channel 7.
Yep.
But then how did Gardening Australia happen for you?
They were auditioning for a presenter, and I used to be on AM Adelaide, and that finished, and they asked me to audition, and 4 people auditioned, and I was lucky enough to get the gig. And that was...
That's because you knew what you were talking about.
Oh, of course.
But also, you're probably not the carbon copy of a gardener. Would you say that?
I don't know.
What is
What's
the carbon? Yeah, what is that? What does that mean exactly?
Well, I suppose people have an older, perhaps misconception, gardeners are older people that look like they need a good wash.
I don't know. There's some young, sexy gardeners, so...
Really? That's me in my garden.
So do you get out there with your Wellington boots and your straw hat on?
Well, I always wear my straw hat or my hat, and I do have boots, but I'm usually clothed, I should point out.
Now, we're saying that because I had an admission just before we started to record that because I have walled gardens, I love getting out in the garden in the nude. What can I say?
And several weeks ago, it was actually World Nude Gardening Day.
Oh, Malcolm, see? Wow.
But you missed it, but you do it all the time, so that's good. I'm in a fairly exposed position in my garden, and the local traffic would probably
come
be
to a
chaos.
I'll give them a thrill, I say.
So, anyway, no, the weather was
There's nothing
quite
like
nice.
getting back to nature, though, is there?
Absolutely, absolutely.
And for me, I don't know that I should be admitting this, but for me, it's just the most wonderful day I have when I'm gardening. I'm always alone, and it's just lovely, and I feel at one with the world.
Yes, but do tell... No, I probably shouldn't tell that story. Nobody fell off a ladder. You did actually fall off your ladder
but not
recently.
in the garden.
Oh, I thought you were naked.
No, but...
Sorry to paint that picture.
That's all right. But the truth is, that's what gardening does for people,
It does.
isn't it?
It does, and it's interesting because people often say they feel good when they get out in the garden. And if you're not a gardener, it seems like a bit of, hype. But now there's more and more studies coming out proving that gardening is really beneficial for our health and well-being. And the studies more or less work in 4 areas of our life. They cover 4 areas of our life. The first is in terms of exercise, because gardening can actually work all the major muscle groups and improve strength and endurance. The challenge with most gardeners is we don't warm up before. Like, we'd warm up if we went to the gym, but we get in the garden and we overdo it and then pay the price.
To warm up,
Aches and pains.
my theory about the warm-up is you bend over and look at that plant, then maybe you just pick up a little plant and move it over there, and then you move that back. I have everything. I've got a lot in pots as well as planted. So by the time I start gardening, you clean up this bit of the garden, so you move everything out and you move everything back. By the end of the day, I'm exhausted. But I do sort of warm up. And as we get older, that's really very important.
It is important to warm up, but it's also important important to be active, and that's fabulous. I read a study that a 45-minute gardening session is equivalent to a 30-minute gym membership, and no lycra, no membership fees. It's 24 hours. That's right. So certainly there's the exercise component. There is the relaxation component, and if our lives are getting more high-paced, there's lots of stress out there. Lots of people have stressful jobs. To walk in your front gate and be in your space, suddenly, a lot of people, that's their relaxation. If they've had a really tough week, they might get a good pair of secateurs and take it out on something. So pruning can be quite therapeutic.
I love pruning.
Yeah.
Well, you've got some bonsai, so they need looking after,
You do a bit of pruning
there
virtually all the time. But
So the relaxation element, and if you think about it, we use these terms like grounded and down to earth to talk about people that we admire, people maybe from country people or farming people, and that's all about our connection with the earth. And one of the fascinating studies for me was they've just identified a mycobacteria in soil. Now, we always think bacteria bad, but this is a good guy, and it triggers serotonin release in our brain.
I absolutely believe that.
So they're actually proving. So all those years that people have said, I feel so good when I get my hands in the soil, this is not hype, this is actually now science, and they're using it to treat cancer patients in the UK.
Brilliant.
Isn't that awesome?
It's the simple things, though, like music to help people with dementia. Something as simple as this. But it's getting back to being what humans really are, rather than putting ourselves in these ivory towers. It's getting back to where, really, our food comes from, the oxygen comes out of the garden. The
just the enjoyment, too, of when you do actually grow something, tomatoes, lettuce, anything like that, that you get to grow and then to eat.
Absolutely. And from a nutrition point of view, anything you grow, the inputs that went into it. That, you fed it with, say, organic fertiliser and you didn't use sprays on it. And anything else we buy, and, heaven forbid that it comes in from overseas, we have no understanding of what's been used on it.
But there's also less waste, because when you go to the supermarket and you buy all these things, especially herbs, if you can buy them, if you can grow them, then you're just picking what you need instead of buying a bunch of something and then half of it goes to waste.
Absolutely.
So you're saving money.
The other thing you find is that when you grow your own and you harvest it, and let's say you pick more than you actually needed, you keep it in the fridge, it will keep 10 times longer in the fridge if you grew it because it was picked fresh, whereas by the time you've bought it, it's already got a shelf life on it. So, the nutrition aspect of growing our own food is really important. And then the other thing is the health and wellbeing aspect. So from a health point of view, there's mental health and then there's physical health. Did you know, for example, that if you go to hospital, you need to make sure, and you're going to stay in hospital, you need to make sure that your room has a green view, because they've shown that people that have a view of a tree or a garden have better recovery rates, lower blood pressure. They've got a better prognosis.
Wow,
right?
That's awesome.
It's interesting.
Idea.
But having travelled and lived in some unusual places in my life, if I can see some trees, it does make such a difference. It's true.
It's huge. Even there was a study done in Adelaide, which I love, by the organisation Beyond Blue, and the study's called Beyond Blue to Green, and in it they simply surveyed people in Adelaide, and people found living in Adelaide that lived in a suburb they perceive as green, right, had 1.6 times greater odds of physical and mental health than those who live in a suburb perceived as not so green. Now, it's funny, we sometimes choose where we live based on postcode or based on shopping or whatever. We should actually be choosing where we live based on parks and street trees and, because we've got a better chance of good health.
But then if that's not possible, like you're living in an apartment in the middle of the city, and most people have got some sort of little outdoor something, and if they haven't, they've got windows, so they can still grow some indoor plants.
They can, and you can have a balcony garden, you can have a tiny little courtyard or inside, and of course there are community gardens. So there are hundreds across Australia.
A lot of councils have got these community gardens. They're an odd thing, aren't they? When you think about it, it's like a little tiny patch of soil in a tub thing or whatever.
Yeah.
That's mine, and I'm going to grow some carrots or some parsley or some other herbs or whatever. But it might not be near your house. It might be way over there in another
suburb.
Almost suburb, almost. Yes, I've gone on a tour of some of those council gardens, and it's a great idea.
It is, and I mean, a lot of it comes from the allotment garden in the UK where they have high density, and so then they go and rent a plot. And community gardens are fabulous. Some people go there because, for example, their backyard's too shady, too much root competition, they can't grow veggies, so they grow their veggies in the community garden. Others might already have a veggie patch at home, but they go to the community garden because they want to feel part of something. They want to learn, they want to mix with other peers in the gardening, you know, in their gardening circles.
Probably swap things over, you know, you can have some of my seeds and I'll have some of your seeds.
That's right.
Sharing.
And, you know, so there was a fabulous gentleman, there is a fabulous gentleman, I should say, by the name of Richard Louv, and he wrote quite a world-changing book, and it was called The Last Child in the Woods, and in it he identified something called the biophilia hypothesis. No good for a girl with a lisp. But anyway, what it talked about is the fact that as human beings, we have an inherent need to interact with nature. And if we neglect this need, you know, where there's high-tech, high-paced society, where we have a disconnect with nature, if we neglect that, there are dire physical, mental and emotional consequences. So we need to make sure that, you know, as adults, we connect with nature. Even if you haven't got your own garden, you just walk through the park on the way somewhere.
Well, not everybody's cut out to be a gardener, I suppose. I mean, everybody can, but maybe not everybody really feels the need to do that.
No.
But I was recently in London in Kew Gardens, and I realised why something like that is so valuable for the people living there, because not only is there everything there, but as the seasons change, it just makes you feel like your life is changing and moving forward, I think.
But usually too in London, where it is dense population, there is usually what they call a share park. And they're beautiful. You suddenly come upon these places and, oh gosh, look at that. And you don't expect it. Half the time you just come across these places.
Sophie, we could go on talking forever, and we probably will, but could I just ask you, would you like to come back and talk to us again?
I'd love to. Thank you, that would be great.
Thank you, and thank you, because it's been lovely to share a bit of your background as well. When we see you just presenting, we don't know the real person, so it's been lovely to meet you.
Thank you.
And we'll be back soon. We have this fantastic young vocal group, and of course Kimberly.
Kimberly Douglas will be with us too.
See you in a tick. And welcome back to Our Time. You're Stripey and I'm Spotty. And we're surrounded with young men. What does it all mean?
What does it mean?
Well, it means that we have some fantastic young performers starting out on a new career as a vocal group.
Called The 64. Is that right, boys?
Yes.
They get it right.
That's correct.
And just to introduce them all to you, here's Ben over here. And then there's Kyle. Lachlan sort of in the middle.
Sort of in the middle.
And Tom at the end next to Janice.
Hi,
Welcome,
boys.
guys.
Thank you
Hello.
for coming in.
Tell us about this group you've put together. Well, actually, before you tell us that, how do you all know each other?
Well, we all used to go to school together at Scotch College. These two have left now, so. But yeah, we started singing together at a big barbershop day out, and we put a group together and we started singing some 60s a cappella music. We loved it, and we just continued from there.
So we're going to find out later just how good you really are. But of course, you I know, and I know Kyle because you're in Teen Dream, a show that we did some time ago.
Yes.
And you came out and did the first telly stuff for that show here. So it's great that you've gone on to move forward with this idea.
Yeah.
So just tell us a bit about yourself. Let's start with you. How did all this begin for you?
So
because, can I just add, this is a bit of a compliment, you're also a conductor and musician in many other ways as well, which is quite extraordinary, as most of the boys are. But just tell us a bit about you.
So I started singing when I was 4 years old in England, and then we moved out here to Australia when I was 8.
They didn't like you singing much?
To leave the country.
Very fun.
Good setup, thank you for that.
No worries. And so, yeah, we came out here when I was 8, and it just kind of grew from there, and I started doing music theatre and opera, and then got some conducting jobs, and yeah.
What do you love the most, though?
Singing.
The singing?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you've got that very, that sort of amazing thing that you hear in harmony singers, that you can sing all the parts and you can hear them all in your head.
I hate that.
I do too.
I do not hate people that can do that.
Definitely should be in a lockup somewhere.
Just agree with
Kyle,
that.
what's your story?
Well, I got into music and stuff pretty late in my life. Well, not really that late. I was like 10.
He's so old now.
Yeah, no.
And yeah, so I was sort of playing soccer and stuff up until then, but then I sort of got into, I think it was dancing first, and then I really got into heaps into acting, and then music sort of came last for me. I like learned how to play guitar and stuff, and now I'm just sort of...
And he made a lovely buttons in Cinderella.
Yes.
Yes.
Just another small thing.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I dabble in lots of different areas.
Yeah,
So.
so you should, because that's what performers are about.
That's
Really.
it.
Lachlan, it's handy that your mum was a dance teacher and your dad works in...
Backstage stuff,
Yeah.
So I was sort of born into it. Been doing it since a very young age, and I just sort of kept doing it. Sort of a bit less the dancing now, more onto the singing and acting side of things, and live music as well. I play bass guitar, and yeah, sort of like Carl, just sort of been dabbling in a lot of different stuff.
Multi-talented, that's what it is.
So, Tom, tell us your story.
Oh, well, I started off in acting at a young age, around 9 and 10, and that moved on quite quickly to music theatre. And just since then, luckily going to Scotch College, I could collaborate with these guys and sing in groups, and one thing led to another. And
How much was the school influential on what your decisions became?
It became quite influential in the sense of that they formed a group called the Soul Brothers, which we all eventually joined, and that really led us to the Barbershop Big Day Out, which we sang some 60s songs. So.
And you've just continued on with that.
Yeah, just separated ourselves.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we'd have thousands of them. Yeah. So why the 60s? What was the attraction? Because this is my era. You're talking about, oh, maybe not yours. You're a 70s girl.
I am. Thank you.
I'm 60s.
I think, well, for me, I can't speak for the boys, but for me it was the tight-knit harmonies that they do like the whole time. I think that's what made it so timeless for me.
And with different shows coming through where, you know, there was stories of groups, and there's certainly been a few of those around. Even the ABBA show that went through, and the Jersey Boys that went through, and some of those other things, everyone sort of reconnected with this music, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
And guys your age discovered it probably for the first time.
Yeah, it brought a new generation to that era. Yeah.
So the sort of things that you're doing as a group at the moment are...
Well,
Well, we do. Thank you. We do put on our own gigs at the Norwood Hotel here in Adelaide, and we also have we get parties and weddings and.
So you're
like that.
available. Is the word.
we are.
Yes.
Take note.
Yes. Well, wait till you hear the boys perform in a tick.
Yeah.
But the future for a group like you, do you think you'll diversify into other areas? Do you want to stick together? What's the long term, do you feel?
I know, I guess it's because we've only sort of just started, and we're just like, sort of, we've already sort of expanded like our repertoire a bit, like learning, you know, at first it was only a couple of artists like the Beatles and stuff, but now we're sort of expanded into lots of different, like Simon and Garfunkel and all sorts of stuff. And
Lovely.
I know we might eventually go out of 60s, but at the moment we're just kind of loving
Plenty
it
there.
so much.
Of course.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we'll have to be called the 70s.
we need to change our
All right, now we're about to hear the boys perform in a moment, but before then,
Well, Kimberly, we love Kimberly, is talking to Sue. So,
here's Sue and Kimberly.
Yes.
Time to talk nutrition again with Kimberly Douglas. Welcome, Kimberly.
Hi.
Today we're going to talk about selenium, which I have heard about, and I know it's very important for me, but tell me why.
Okay, so selenium is a mineral and also a very powerful antioxidant.
Yeah.
Australia and New Zealand soil is completely deficient in selenium. So even if you're eating fruit and vegetables or even nuts, where they're renowned to be in, you're not going to get a lot of selenium. So you need to, the biggest sources are Brazil nuts and dates, but they must be the product of Brazil or the product of
Is
a
that
country
right?
where their soils are very enriched. So that wasn't a good plug for Australia.
But dates and Brazil nuts.
Imported product of, because you're going to get a lot higher selenium because of their soils. Now, what would you use selenium for? First of all, it's very, very powerful for women who get breast cysts and breast lumps. A lot of women get lumpy breast tissue, and by giving them great dosages of selenium, and it doesn't need to be a lot, they get a real thinning out of the tissue and a lot of the cystic process disappears. If you have chemical allergies, now I have a lot of patients that can't walk down the laundry aisle at the supermarket. They can't handle perfume, they can't handle car fumes, someone's smoking, they can't handle aftershave. This is the way the body eliminates toxins as you breathe it in and your body needs to eliminate. Selenium aids that process. So if anyone has chemical allergies, selenium can help that. It's very, very good for prevention of birth defects. It's very important to have good amounts of selenium if you're thinking of getting pregnant, so for genetic duplication and a range of other things. But I suggest you try to buy imported Brazil nuts and you try to eat 4 to 6 every single day.
Is it 4 to 6? I was
4 to
told
6.
once I had to have 2 Brazil nuts every day.
Right, well if you can
I
eat 4 to
have great
6.
difficulty keeping to 2 because
And
I
that's
love
fine.
nuts.
You can do that. So 4 to 6 a day while you're cooking your dinner.
Okay.
And if you do that regularly, you don't need to supplement as long as it's an imported one.
I mean, I don't think you can buy Brazil nuts from anywhere but
No,
Brazil.
you can't.
Pretty sure when I buy them, I usually buy them loose. It says product of Brazil, so I think
there
I'm
you go.
okay. Don't
You're
like
done.
dates much. But that's an interesting one because I knew selenium was important, but I couldn't tell why. So if you're lacking in selenium, what sort of symptoms would you look for?
You'll lose your sense of taste and smell. So people who can't have those or don't have those senses, as I said, breast cysts or lumpy breasts, chemical sensitivities, and there's very little other symptoms. So it's not a mineral like a zinc or an iron that if you were low you would get a heap of symptoms. So it goes unnoticed a lot of the time.
Yes, and causes people a few problems.
Absolutely.
So keep up with the Brazil nuts. Just have more Brazil nuts, 4 to 6 while I'm cooking dinner or just through the day. I find they help me in the mid-afternoon when you get that little bit of hunger.
Yeah,
Brazil
brilliant.
nuts sounds wonderful. Thanks so much for coming in.
You're welcome.
That's not for you, Janice. It's for the boys that we met earlier in the show. And now here they are with a very special tribute song. And we'll see you next time on Our Time. Talk, Mother, talk.
The boys are called the 64.
They are. So we'll see you next time on Our Time.
Please enjoy.
Keep yourself nice till then. Let's get out the way.
Sherry baby, Sherry, Sherry baby, Sherry, Sherry baby, Sherry baby, Sherry, can you come out tonight? Come out tonight. Sherry baby, Sherry, can you come out tonight? Why don't you come on? Come on, come on. You look so fine. Come on, nice and easy. Girl, you make me lose my mind. Sherry, Sherry baby, Sherry baby, Sherry, can you come out tonight? Walk, 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 walk. Walk like a man. Oh, how you trying to cut me down to size, telling dirty lies to my friends. My own father, so give her up, don't bother. My love isn't coming to an end. He said, walk like a man, talk like a man, walk like a man, my son. No woman's worth crawling on the earth, so walk like a man, my son. Walk, 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 walk. Big girls don't cry. Big girls don't cry. Big girls don't cry. They don't cry. Big girls just an alibi. Big girls don't cry. Big girls don't cry. Bye, baby, baby, goodbye. Bye, baby, baby, bye, bye. Bye, baby, don't make me cry. Bye, baby, baby, bye, bye. Bye, baby, baby, bye, bye. Bye, baby, baby, bye, bye. Bye, baby.